everybody. Welcome to the office hours with David Meltzer and me, Blaine Bartlett. David, as you can see, is kind of lounging in a chair right now, and he's being transported, down 405 or something, coming back to the office here. Michael, I want to welcome you, Michael Zalle, the CEO of YellowBird, founder and CEO of YellowBird, and we are thrilled to have you here. And the timing couldn't be more appropriate, I think. The mask mandate is being kind of dialed back, and
yep.
CDC just came out literally a couple hours ago saying if you've been vaccinated, no masks are going to be required indoors or outdoors. And your whole program around YellowBird is COVID return to work.
Yes.
So talk about synchronicity. This is perfect.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. We've been in the space of risk and health and safety since before COVID hit, and we did put a program together to serve the community for COVID return to work, which has been a very popular and successful plan for us.
Now, your target this is you're talking about environment, health, and safety industries.
Yes.
How does the program work?
So YellowBird, if you look at it from a new technology and new industry, we're an Uber of really, really smart risk and safety people. So the easiest way of describing what we do is we take highly educated, certified, trained professionals, and we match them with companies and opportunities to help the community. So the company launched about 18 months ago, and we've just seen remarkable growth, partially because of this industrial hygiene issue that we've been contending with as a community and as a world, which is COVID-19.
Exactly.
Michael, there's a lot of companies that I call better way companies. They're always looking for a better way, and I think companies like Uber really put some catalytic impetus on looking at things that are commonplace in a better way. And then there became these experts, regulatory experts, that allowed us to go ahead and compete with the old school forces that be, whether it be in waste management or lighting or electricity or,
Yep.
Cabs, transportation. You're doing the exact same thing. What are some of, the challenges, the regulatory challenges that exist when you look to do things a better way? And it's a better way, but yet we have to contend with the old school bureaucracy and regulations.
Well, fortunately, we are on the coattails of giants when it comes to some of this stuff. So the Ubers and Lyfts and Airbnbs that are empowering individuals with capabilities to create side hustles or side incomes or side gigs, whatever you want to call it. They very much led the charge and helped the other young operators like ourselves by getting through some of those regulatory hurdles. We are fortunate because the world that I live in has always been a professional world. It takes a highly educated person. It takes a certified person. The industry that we're serving is on average an $80,000 plus industry, and that's good for the people who serve it and work in it. It's not good for the companies that can't afford it. And so that's one of the things that one of our value propositions is that we're able to bring skills and capabilities to people who often have to make the decision. Do I do the best that I can with the people I have, or do I not have anything? And we're able to help fill in a surge demand. So I love the industry that the gig economy platforms like ours. It's solving a real need, a real issue.
And you've identified, when you're talking here, you've got a very narrow niche that you're working for, and I think there's a lot of power in that. I was on a podcast call the other day with Scott Miller, who's the former head of strategy and led a large chunk of Franklin Covey's work for 25 years.
Yep.
And he's got a new book coming out. And one of the things that we were talking about is getting very, very specific about who the market is that you're serving.
Right.
And in that specificity, you don't want a broad scattergun. Get this thing tightly focused, and you've got actually a lot of runway in front of you if you can do that well.
Well, it's an interesting statement that you make, because in fact, so my co-founder, who I recruited to come on board with us, she's a remarkable lady, 26 years at Intel. She's my chief operating officer, so as good as a blabbermouth as I can be, that's how good of an operator as she can be. And so, I write checks and she has to figure out how to cash them, as I always say. But so her number one question, and then I'll get back to your point, and I apologize for cutting you off, but her number one question when we're talking about it is, it seems kind of niche-y to me. It seems really small. And we did our CAC and our total market opportunity analysis, and the U.S. market is a $9 billion EHS market with a B. Yeah. The global is $55-60 billion. Yeah. So what people don't realize is when OSHA and regulations come in place, anybody over 10 employees have to have OSHA standards. So yes, we are absolutely solving a real need, kind of like saying being a service for attorneys is a niche, but everybody they can throw a stick and hit 4 attorneys if I throw it fast enough and hard enough.
Exactly. So, and for the folks that are listening, this is a point that I think is really I want to run with it a little bit here, because too often I find entrepreneurs getting too wide too fast. And if they can identify the niche, really, what's the need in a narrow spectrum, and find a way to fill that gives not only a toehold, but it also gives you actually a lot of leverage to start looking for other opportunities. And energy will coalesce around a focus point. You're gonna with a magnifying glass, you can create a lot of heat if it's focused. Then you can start a fire. They can kind of spread out a little bit, to butcher a metaphor here, but that's essentially what we're looking at. A better way. You came up with this sitting in the back of an Uber, kind of like Dave's in the back of his car right now. Yeah. How do we make this a better way? What was it about that driver that captured your attention? I love the story here.
I was heading to the airport early one morning, and the gentleman that was driving me, it was 5:30 in the morning. He pops out of the vehicle. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, big smile on his face. He was in his probably early 60s, if I'm taking a guess, and grabs my bag, shakes my hand, because it was a time that you could actually shake someone's hand, and you handed me a glass of water or a bottle of water, and I'm like, man, this guy's impressive. I hadn't had an Uber driver like that in quite some time, so he's driving me to the airport to head towards Dallas from Scottsdale, and I asked him, what got you driving Uber? And he said, well, actually, I was a senior officer in the Chilean Air Force, and I just retired. Came up here, as he said it, to see my grandbabies, and my wife wouldn't leave, and so we retired and we came up here. And I thought to myself, I asked him how many people he had reporting to him when he retired, and he said, around 40,000. Like, okay, wow. And he went from that to driving an Uber, and I said to myself, okay, there's got to be more that this guy can be doing. This is insane. And he just stuck with me. That thought process stuck with me. And I thought about my father, who was he was actually in Orange County. I'm from Orange County, California, so actually right down the street from David. I lived in Costa Casa, literally right down the street from David. Literally, yeah. And and my father was right in that area. And in 2008, he was with a banking organization, and when the implosion hit, my father got retired. And so when he got retired, where it was like, okay, it's time for the senior executives that are highly paid and the industry's not doing well, it's time for everybody to kind of take your bow. And so he was going to consult. And so I thought to myself, the combination of this gentleman and
sorry about that. This was supposed to have been on mute. Go ahead.
There you go. So the combination of this gentleman and thinking about my father had me really thinking about had me thinking about what it takes to become a consultant when you retire, because that's what everybody wants to do. I mean, you ask anybody, what are you going to do when you retire? Oh, I'm going to play golf and I'm going to do some consulting. I'm going to sit on a couple of boards. I'm going to advise some young guys of all my knowledge. And the reality is that it is hard. It's really hard to get the insurance, to get the structure in place, to put a marketing plan together, to go and network and really build your own consulting practice. Or you're a salesman. And if you don't have to do it and you're at a stage in your life where you're retired, most don't succeed at it. And what I thought to myself is, how do I help organizations and people match with each other? We do the insurance, we do the matching, we take the skills, the geography, the experience, and put them in a position where they're able to monetize on their terms, their knowledge. And the best part is that folks like this gentleman that are driving Uber, he could be making $1,000 a day on demand, which we do all day long, every day. And it's the kind of opportunity that he says, yeah, no, you know what? I'm hanging out with my grandbabies today. I'll pass on this one. And there's no harm, no foul.
Yep.
There's no negative to it.
I love that. I love it. Now, did you ever circle back to the Uber driver?
I don't actually. Someday he's going to hear this story and he's going to know I'm talking about him. But no, I have not. I've never communicated with the gentleman again. But he obviously had an impact in my life. So I'll have to find him someday and send him some flowers or a beer or something.
So, David, you got something? Okay, you're good. Okay, Michael, where can people find out more about YellowBird? Because I got a hunch a number of folks listening here are going to be on one side or the other, or that one for you.
Yeah, so it's goyellowbird.com, yellowbird.com, and there's no fee for any professional who is. And there's something else I want to point out, that we're not just safety, we're also risks. So anybody who does insurance assessments, we do a lot of work for insurance companies. So you have folks who go and get that dreaded OSHA letter and they go, oh no, I've got somebody who's going to come give me an OSHA audit, or I want to do a mock OSHA inspection. Or for insurance companies, they go and say, I need somebody to go out and do a walkthrough, an independent walkthrough before we go to underwriting. We have a whole fleet of people across the country. We've got 2,000 people in every state in the union. So yeah, it's dynamic growth.
Yeah, I love it. Well, It's been great having you here. I know that David is kind of missing out on some stuff here.
Thank you. You can hear me.
I can hear you. Thank you, David, and thank you, Blaine. I appreciate the opportunity to chat, and would love to chat again when you're in an office, David, and I can hear all the words of wisdom you have to throw at me.
No, we'll have you back, and I wanted to talk about Spectrum. So you have a very unique, not only business, but I think it's a great testament to how people should specialize and realize that it's unfathomable how big the market is. So the more specific we get today is much, much better than in the past, where you had to go very broad because you had limited amount of people. Now it's the exact opposite. The more narrow and niche you get, the more successful you'll be.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I knew I'd get some words of wisdom out of that guy, in a car or not. He can't stop.
Can't stop the mobile Meltzer. All right. Thanks.
Michael, take care. Love having you here.
Hey, thank you so much. You take care.
You bet. Wow. Mobile. And I didn't know I was going to be able to make it, so I'm glad that everything is fitting together here. And we got somebody coming up next, Bryan Leach.
I would have been mobile if you weren't here, but I appreciate it. It makes my life a lot easier. And with my daughter home from college, it gives me an extra hour with her because you were willing to do this. So thank you.
Oh, hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. Knock it out. So, Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, fellas. How you doing?
Oh, doing really well.
Awesome.
Now, CEO of Ibotta. I love the way that you're positioning what you're doing here. And for those of you that are listening, I want to just a real quick thing. Bryan was the CEO of the year in Colorado Biz and top 10 CEO of the United States, in the United States and small and medium-sized businesses. And he was on the podcast with David not too long ago, back in March. But you've got something that's going on that's really, really kind of cool with your app. I mean, you have actually given away, and I say given away, that's a euphemism here, but you've actually paid back $850 million to consumers. I mean, that's a crazy number. So I want you to fill in kind of the backstory here. What is it that is enabling people to get that kind of largesse, from actually running day-to-day stuff that they do?
Yeah, well, actually, since we met in March, we've given away another $130 million. So we're almost at $1 billion. It's a big celebration for us in a couple of weeks' time. Look, we operate a free app. You can download it from the App Store, Google Play. It's called Ibotta, Ibotta, and it pays you cash back for everyday purchases. So you go to the grocery store, Walmart, Kroger, you shop online, Instacart, Amazon. You can buy things from Coca-Cola, Unilever, Anheuser-Busch. There's thousands of products that you can buy, and you get an instant cashback rebate or reward directly in your account. You can then put it on your bank account, PayPal, whatever. So it's real money. It's not points. It's for stuff you buy anyway: milk, bread, eggs, cheese, diapers, beer, but also lots of other things beyond groceries. So now we just announced this week, 100% of our users can get cash back on every Uber ride. So if you're riding Uber again, you're getting out there, you got your vaccine, you want to take a ride on Uber, you get 75 cents, $1 back on every ride just by starting with Ibotta and linking into Uber. So there's all sorts of categories, from online shopping to everyday items, everything in between.
Where does the money come from? Oh, I'm sorry, David. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, Bryan. I just want to butt in because, there's two areas that you do really well, which is why I'm not surprised you got to $1 billion so quickly. And the one thing that was surprising when I got aware of the company was user interface. The user interface of the app is so easy that I think a lot of people, when they get good ideas like this, they end up getting an initial bad review and response because people don't know how to use it. What did you do to make that user interface so simple that someone can come on the first time and it's a seamless way to shop and just earn money for what you're already doing? And the only inhibitor I saw was, one, user interface, and two, awareness of the app. But it's so viral because it is so easy. They build upon each other. What makes your user interface so much easier? At least I found it that way, and I'm sure all the people with $1 billion coming back find it as well.
Look, I mean, we didn't know exactly what people would respond to, and no one has the answers up front. It's really a process of trial and error. One of my favorite stories when we started out is we put a giant table out in front of the Coors Field where the Rockies play here in Denver, Colorado. And we would put these paper prototypes of an app on the table. And as people were walking by to go to the game, we would say, hey, would you come check out our mobile app design? And if you do it for a minute and talk to us about if you would use this app, we'll give you a free bottle of water as you're heading into the game, or we'll give you some peanuts or something. So it wasn't very expensive, and people were kind of like, I've got a few minutes till the game. So they'd come over, and we learned things like, do they want to start by choosing what store they prefer to shop, or do they want to start by searching for the items they prefer to buy? There's a couple different ways to design these things. And then over time, as we got bigger, we became more and more partners with the retailers like Walmart, like Kroger. And so we could work with them to make it easier and easier for someone to use. So now you can just log into your account one time. You've got your loyalty card or your credit card on file. You literally just pay with that when you check out, and within seconds, boom, you get cash, real cash on your account. When we started out, we actually had to have people take a picture of their receipt. So it's gotten easier over time as we've gotten more tightly integrated with retailers. And that's how we've managed to make it a little bit more intuitive.
Now, I'm just curious. Almost $1 billion, and David said earned. People are earning money. Are they really earning money, or does it work kind of like advertising compensation? Ad comps, where the retailer gets money back from the supplier, for featuring their ads on.
Yeah, so we work directly with the supplier. So we would work with Coca-Cola, for example. We would negotiate a deal where for every item sold, we get $1. We might give you 50 cents as the end consumer. We might keep the other 50 cents. And the beauty of it is they don't have to pay for an impression or a like or a clip or a view or a print. They only pay when we can prove that Coca-Cola was sold at this store at this time. So it's performance marketing. And either they or their media agencies invest millions of dollars to drive a known flow of goods and services at all the different places that carry Coca-Cola. So sometimes we work with the retailers as well, and they want to promote themselves as the best place to buy Coca-Cola. So you might actually get paid. We might get paid from both the retailer and the brand on the same transaction. So for instance, if we get you to buy a 6-pack of Bud Light and you buy it through Drizzly, which is the alcohol delivery app, we get paid a percentage from Drizzly, and we'd also get paid by Bud Light.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that. It's you've got more than 40 million downloads on this right now, right?
That's true. Yeah. So 40 million people have downloaded our app, and we're coming up on 1 million people downloaded our brand new browser extension, which is super cool. It's free. You go to Google Play, for example, you can download it and install it on your browser. And then wherever you search on the internet, whenever you're on a site that has cash back, it pops up and it's like, hey, we've got cash back. So if you're on Walmart.com, it'll draw a little box around anything that has cash back, and you can add it to cart, instantly get cash back.
Yeah. What could go wrong? I can't see anything wrong in this picture at all. This is a win-win-win-win-win scenario.
It is a free app that pays you cash. It's true.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go to the candy store. This is kind of cool. And I love that I can buy beer with it.
You could buy wine, beer, spirits. It works at every liquor store in America.
That's absolutely crazy.
So Bryan, sometimes when you have a too good to be true company, there's some critical business issues that arise on the other side that you don't anticipate. What is the one thing that you see in customer education to get over the too good to be true, where it seems like it's just a promotional hype, and where's the catch is probably the number one opponent or resistance that you have to your business. How do you get over the where's the catch, it's too good to be true type of resistance?
Biggest thing is getting someone to go through the experience one time end to end, and then they realize, oh my gosh, I actually got real money. I didn't get paid out in Turkish lira. These aren't points. There's no catch. And I think part of that, building that trust, is just the name brands that we work with, the big name retailers that we work with, referrals from one user to another. So when your friend says, hey, check this out, you're much more likely to think that it's legit and not a scam. So we get a lot of our best users from referral. But really, it's just getting people to go in through the experience one time, end to end, and realize that, oh my gosh, I took this Uber ride and then I got a notification. It's like, here's $1. And I'm like, whoa, that's pretty cool. And then you do it again and again.
Yeah. Some of the stuff that you're actually giving cash back on is highly regulated, alcohol being one of them. What kind of hoops did you have to jump through to get set up to be able to actually do that? Because in all 50 states, I'm thinking here, Utah, that's going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah, so it turns out that in about 10 states, you're not allowed to do rebates or cash back on beer, wine, or spirits. But in most states, about 40 states, you are allowed to do it. So since our users have to put in their geolocation or their zip code, we can say, okay, Bryan's in Colorado, completely fine to do cash back. There are some states like California where you can do cash back on beer, but you can't do coupons. So it just depends on each state's rules, and you have to make sure that an offer that exists is available for redemption everywhere that carries that product. So, there's a really interesting rules that date back a century related to preferring a given retailer. And so we've worked hard to we work with 2 different law firms on alcohol regulatory law, a very specific area of the law, to make sure that we were the very first company to do this. Up until then, they were people mailing in, proof of purchase that they cut out of the back of their Bud Light to a center in North Dakota and waiting 6 weeks for a check to come back. Here, you can take a picture of your receipt, get cash on your PayPal, and move on with your life.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, you talk about a disruptive move. It's I was talking to Peter Diamandis not too long ago about digitization, just kind of how in a digitized world, all of a sudden you start commoditizing all kinds of things, because replication, you don't have to cut coupons out. Now it's digital, and everything resides on the cloud. So the cost of doing business, the cost of goods sold, I mean, all of those traditional barriers to entry, all of those things that might stumble or cause a stumble begin to disappear. Yeah, this app, and I've got I'm just kind of stammering here a little bit because I'm to the point that David made, too good to be true sort of a thing. This is the sort of thing that catches attention and then it catches on fire, and there's no downside to it.
Well, look, we gave away last year between November 3rd and Thanksgiving. We gave a free Thanksgiving dinner to 3.1 million Americans. You got a free turkey, stuffing, gravy, 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola, Campbell's soup, the whole fixins. And you could go to Walmart or Walmart.com. We partner with Walmart on it. We partner with Coke and Butterball and Campbell's. And you could buy these things, and within 1 minute of checking out of Walmart, you got $22 cash back. So it was 100% free Thanksgiving at a time when people were food insecure. And this was a really big eye-opener for us, because in a pandemic year, at a time when all these people are looking to make ends meet, who've lost their jobs, something like Ibotta can become relevant to the conversation about life beyond just savings. And so, why does this resonate? Because it's a tradition that we all buy roughly the same things around the same time of year as Americans, no matter which way we voted, no matter which way we, how the ball broke for us during the pandemic. This was something that brought people together. This became the second most Googled term in the entire 3-week run up to Thanksgiving. Keep in mind, this is like Black Friday, the busiest time of advertising. The term Ibotta Thanksgiving was the second most Googled term. So when you catch the zeitgeist like that and you really join the national conversation like that, it's really exciting.
And we're going to, segue to another guest here in just a moment, but there's a point that I want to make with this. It has to do with a new book that I'm writing around being a center of distribution. And one of the things that I'm struck with as you're talking about Ibotta is that you are actually creating a process by which nature works in a very interesting way. There's nothing in nature that are centers of accumulation. Anything that's a center of accumulation ends up dying in nature. Everything that's thriving in nature becomes a center of distribution. And that's essentially what I'm hearing that Ibotta makes possible, is an easy distribution of a lot of things, not just product, but there's a distribution of currency that allows for it to keep flowing in some very healthy ways. Now, I'm being a little abstract with that, but I'm really struck with that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're essentially a trusted broker of traffic, of commerce out to our partner entities, whether it's a store or a website. And we facilitate the creation of a positive currency that can be reinvested back into our partners, which isn't true in open loop systems like coupons. Our mission is to destroy coupons. They've been around since 1880. We want them dead and gone forever. We believe every coupon, every sale is a missed opportunity to create a positive reward that can be much more interesting and strategic. So we're on a mission to make every purchase rewarding and to replace discounts with rewards everywhere in the world.
Love it. David, anything?
Thank you so much, Bryan. We appreciate it. I didn't realize you were the coupon killer, but that's your new nickname as far as I got. You got to check out Ibotta. Where can people find you?
For free on the App Store under Ibotta or Google Play, or if you want to check out our online browser extension on the Google Chrome Marketplace.
All right. Thank you for being here, Bryan. I love what you're up to.
Cheers. See you.
All the good work.
Take care, my friend.
Congratulations. Great job.
$1 billion. Have a party.
Cheers. We will.
Okay. Wow, that's very cool. I love that.
It's amazing, right? Like,
yeah.
The size scope, once again, the size, scope, and scale, as we were talking before, right? If you have the right idea, the numbers get astronomical. You've never had access to the whole world before, and, or just the whole country even can be enough. It's an incredible, distribution channel. I'm really looking forward to your book, by the way, because there is a new center of distribution, and with a more efficient behavioral response, both in time and in monetary sense. And I think we're clearing away a lot of the interference that has been historically and bureaucratically implemented to siphon off rewarding the people who are actually in the transaction. It's going to be an interesting transition. I can't wait to read your book. Why don't we bring our Omar on here next?
Omar, yeah. Omar,
hey, guys, how are you? Hi, Blaine. Hi, David. Good to see you guys.
Great.
How are you?
Dude, doing great.
I haven't seen you since the Super Bowl. We were together, David.
It's amazing how time flies. I can't wait till the next Super Bowl here in my backyard, in my new office. So it'll be great. Anyway,
Nice.
Great to see. I'll let Blaine introduce you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah. Omar, I mean, first of all, I mean, I want to explore this a little bit. You know, your passion for music. You're a musician in your earlier life, but that's not where we're going right now. But I do want to touch on that because I think it actually kind of moves into some of the work that you do in your coaching work. And you got a new website that's up right now that works with how to become rich. And I say how to become rich. It's a mindset shift, as I'm understanding it. And it's actually how you go about working with people to actually position them to, what's the word I'd use here? Think affluently and be affluent as a consequence of that.
Exactly. Yeah, Blaine. I mean, you're right on target. The biggest thing is people don't realize that the mind is the steering wheel of the body. Mm-hmm. So if you can't think rich, you can't become rich. You know, one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar, used to say, "You have to be, do to have. You have to become, do it to have it." And you know, he worked with me so much, and then people like Bob Proctor. But there's so many things that people don't realize that everyone wakes up with the same 24 hours. It's just what we do with it. So the first thing I like to talk about is that people need to have a bigger heart of what they want, because that heart is your desire. And if you have a desire and a willingness to act, that's a beginning. But you know, most people don't even know what they want. So we have to start talking about that. You know, it's kind of like when you go to a place and people are ordering food and they're like, go ahead of me. I don't know what I want, because I know what I want when I walk in, right? So I think it's important that we realize, you know, you have to have a heart, a desire, a willingness to act, and then you have to have a self-esteem. You can't be cocky, but you can't have a poor self-esteem, right? A little confidence goes a long way, but you can't overdo it. It's kind of like Jim Rohn used to say about the guy that, you know, he was so, he'd go to the office and he was broke, but he'd say, "How you doing?" He says, "Unbelievable." He called him a motivated idiot because he had no reason to be motivated. But he was a great guy too. I got to get to know him. But no, I've been real fortunate, as you guys know. I came from Cuba with nothing but the clothes I was wearing. I couldn't speak English. Sponsored by a church. Landed in Miami. Stayed there for 6 months. And then went to Joliet, Illinois. I mean, listen, no money, no credit, no friends. We don't speak English. And we've never felt cold air. I mean, Cubans in Chicago, no. But it was crazy. So, but I got lucky. Like you said, my mom has a beautiful voice. My uncle was a famous tenor on radio. And I studied opera. I'm a lyric tenor. And I held the AU record for bench press, 400 pounds for my weight class. And I made the Olympics, the Olympic trials. In fact, it was funny. I was with our friend that is down in San Diego with you. I forget. He's a football player that hangs out with the World Financial Group, all that. Anyway, so
with Marshall Falk and I.
Yeah, and I was a sponsor for their team. My health clubs was a sponsor for their team for the Olympics. I was their sponsor. So I went to watch them run. Small world, I get to run into him, 20 some years later, but just a small world. But I got lucky. I got mentored. You know, I know about David. I know about Blaine, both you guys. You guys are great entrepreneurs. You're great leaders. You're great mentors. I got lucky. I got to meet the right mentors. You know, Tom Murphy, who managed people like Tom Hopkins and Brian Tracy. I mean, he worked with Brian Tracy. He worked with Jim Rohn, managed Dennis Waitley, Jay Abraham.
Yeah, Jay's great.
His best friend was Jim Rohn, Bob Proctor. So I got to hang out at his house on the weekends. It wasn't a seminar. It was hanging out with him. So, yeah. So, and then Mr. Murphy owned health clubs, and he brought me in. I started out as a personal trainer. I mean, I was a personal trainer of Tom Selleck and Jerry West, for goodness sakes. I mean, I was a personal trainer to a lot of people. And then I saw salespeople making a lot of money. I thought, man, they were driving cars. I was walking most of the time, and they had nice clothes. And so I go into sales and I failed miserably. And Tom Hopkins sat me down and worked with me for about 6 months and had me become the #1 producer in the country in health and fitness. And then Mr. Murphy said, hey, I said, I want to be in the health club business. He said, well, come up with 20 grand. So I went to Sears and I got a credit card. They were giving everybody a credit card then. And I got a compressor and I would paint apartments at night and my bodybuilding friends would do the trim. And that's how I raised my first 20 grand to build my first health club with Mr. Murphy. So I got lucky, you know. You gotta have that. You know, like John Maxwell says, you gotta give that leader's extended hand out, and I got that hand from Mr. Murphy, who just opened me up. I mean, he said, "Do you know Zig Ziglar?" I said, "Nope." He goes, "Tom Hopkins?" "Nope." He said, "Brian Tracy?" "Nope." He goes, "Jim Rohn?" "Nope." He says, "Where have you been?" I'm like, I said, well, you know, I couldn't speak English for half my life. And now, you know, I was just trying. I mean, when I got a C, my mom would take out the sangria and celebrate. You know, I spent half my life in a coat room up in Chicago being punished for looking out the window. Second school. So
Now, you talk about being lucky, but you know, the whole point about be do be, yeah, be do be do be do be. Yeah, I'm going to use that refrain today. You know, I just finished a training program here with a group of physicians, and it was the Frank Sinatra doobie doobie doo. You know, just that little refrain here. It's resulted in you training over 5 million people and
Yes.
2/3 of the top Fortune 500 companies. So it's not like you got lucky. You actually did some stuff to put stuff in place, which is now where you're at with this new website and coaching program. I want you to take just a little bit of time here and talk about what you want to do with that and the structure of it. I mean, for the sake of what is this thing in place for you?
My whole goal is I feel that I was so blessed to have all these wonderful men and women mentor me, that my goal now is to invest my life into other people's lives so I can make a difference. And the way I do it is by mentoring people, mentoring companies, mentoring. I mean, I love, as you know, my latest book, The Smart Startup, which I wrote with Tom Hopkins. Brian Tracy wrote the foreword to it. It's #1 right now in the Middle East. It's amazing. They even changed the cover. It was crazy. Morgan James changed the cover so that we would have more of a warm feelings, because here in the States and Canada, it's blue with a money sign, and they changed the whole thing. But it's #1 right now in the Middle East. So Tom Hopkins and I were about to do a tour in all the Middle East, like Israel and all that, when the pandemic hit, which we were really excited about. So, but we're going to do it. We will do it. But the whole thing for me is, look, it's about helping other people. You know, I've gotten to know David, and I look forward to getting to know you, Blaine. And you know, David is just like me. He's just really. I always say to people, "What can I do for you?" Right? Everybody comes to me like I'm on some boards, and everywhere I go, they're trying to sell me something. And I always say, I came here to give, not to take. I gave here to help out. So for me, it's about giving back. It's about helping, and it's about making a difference in people's lives. Because I think that everybody wakes up with the same 24 hours, and they don't realize that it's what they do within those 24 hours that will make a difference in the results. And we all know that if you just add one thing to your life, one more activity, one more moving forward to your goal a day, that at the end of a year, you've got 365 more activities that you did that you would have done. And I just think that people don't get that they can do it. They just don't get it.
Well, you know, part of the reason I think that David, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Omar, you know, one of the things that I keep saying is a consistent the common denominator between successful people and others is that they receive a touch of favor. And I'm thinking about, you know, what was it in my life, all these different touches of favor. Meeting somebody like Blaine and Cynthia, for example, changed the trajectory of my life. And, you know, making myself available, or is it a frequency? I'd love to, you know, you've done so much in your career, but you started off in a job that you barely spoke English, you know, that anybody could move from where you are. And, you know, I think all three of us, Blaine started on a farm, I started with nothing, but somehow I kept getting into positions with powerful people that could give me a hand up or a touch of favor. what do you think it is about our personalities or this common denominator where not only do we find ourselves in the relationship with very powerful or influential people, but we also avail our, what do you think is different about people like us that get the touch of favor and other people that may not be aware of it or not get that same favor?
I think that there's a couple things. Number one, I really believe that we're coachable. And I always say to my mentors, why me? Why did I end up, being this quote success coming from Cuba with nothing? And he said, you were the most coachable person we've ever met in our life. Number one. Number two, I live to serve. So I think that folks like us are these powerful men and women, these leaders, these mentors, see that we are there. We're humble. We're humble. Like, I'm still the same guy. I get on a plane, go to Joliet, Illinois, walk into my buddy's pub in my jeans and a white T-shirt, and they're like, "Hey, Omar's here," and they put their arm around me, and they just, and they bring out these. I wasn't very good at basketball, so they bring out this B team little basketball thing they've kept all these years, and they go, "This is the guy we love." And they put it on the bar, and we have 75-cent drafts all night. It's just I think that we're coachable, we're humble, and we work. You gotta work. You gotta work. You gotta take action. You gotta work. You gotta. Most people, like my mentor says, they've developed this disease, ascites. They've been sitting on those things so long they can't move. But I think being coachable, being a servant, being humble, and having the willingness to work. Mr. Murphy lived in Arizona. I was in LA, and he said, "Look, you do the work. Put up a little money. I own the clubs. I have money, and you do the sweat equity, and we'll build these things." And we did, and that's it. I'm a workhorse. I love to work, but you know why I love to work? I love to work at things that I love. So if you love something, it's not work. So for me, health and fitness, it changed my life. I was getting my butt kicked every time I go to school. Then I started working out, and I started learning to box and learning powerlifting and the track. And when you're good at sports and things, people start saying, "Wow, he's a nice guy. He's good." So for me, it was about showing people that I came here to play. When you come to play in life, Zig Ziglar always used to say to me that. He says, most people come to life with a teaspoon. He says, "Omar, it feels like you come to life with a forklift, because I came to eat." You know what I mean? Hey, yeah. One thing, never take a Cuban to a buffet. We will take you down. we eat until we can't even breathe. We're like looking in our pockets if we can put anything. It's like, we're hungry. Like Les Brown says, you got to be hungry.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Hungry.
That's right. I love that guy.
That's beautiful. Omar, where can people find out more about what you're up to?
You can go to my website, and if you go there to omarperiu.com, you get a free ebook. There's some ebooks there that you can get for free. One's called Get Fired Up. And by the way, it's not one of those that you get the first 7 pages and you're asked to pay or you have to pay for shipping. You'll get the whole book, right? So it's one of those giving back things. You just get the whole book. So go on omarperiu.com, omarperiu.com, and get your free ebook. But the whole thing for me is, I'm hoping that I can help other people achieve their goals and dreams, because it's really important. Life is, if you're not doing what you love, it's a tough life, And if you're not doing what you love, you're living your life by default. You're living for somebody else's goals. You're trading time for money, and it's not fun. I was so good when I worked. I used to have a corner in the first health club I worked at that I had put together where I could go and take a nap because I knew my manager would never go around there. I was so good at procrastination, I could give a seminar at it. That's how good I was. This guy'd be looking for me everywhere, and I'm like, I'd see his feet come by. I'm good. I felt like George in that one episode that he lived under the table. That was me. But I'll tell you,
Yeah.
when I
Come a
talk
long
to,
way.
when I talk to my mentors, and I go, it was tougher to be a failure and someone not succeeding than it is to be a success. To be a success, it's fun. It's like you have this pep in your step. You got this energy. You've got, remember my mentor says, son, you need to become more attractive. And I'm like, hey, I was like 20 years old. I was ripped. I'm
Hey.
Yeah, and he says, hey, son, no. He says, God looks on the inside. People look on the outside. Work on your inside. Because I was not a good student. I became a student when I met Mr. Murphy. And then he said, read a book every week. Read a book, and then listen to these. They were cassettes then. Listen to cassettes. And then I got lucky. I got to ride in a golf cart with him and Earl Nightingale, because Earl Nightingale played golf. He was Murphy's neighbor. So they played golf every Thursday. So whenever I was in Phoenix, I would sit in the golf. They wouldn't let me play, by the way, because I was so bad. When I played golf, the ants would get on the ball and say, get on the ball, he's going to kill us. It's like, so that's how bad it was. But and I'd sit there and I'd have this hot towel. I'll never forget it. I had this, he would ice up a towel for me because it was so hot. It was summer. And he put it on my neck because I was like melting. And I was like, and he would say, just listen to this man talk. Listen to him talk. And this guy was just throwing out zingers with him and Murph and then Tom Hopkins. And I was just, and most 20-year-olds wouldn't get in a golf cart and sit there and sweat for 3.5 hours while people are playing golf, but I will tell you, the ninth hole, they would tell me to just stay in the clubhouse.
Nope, you're coachable. That's why that whole idea. So Omar, thank you so much. And I look forward to getting connected with you as well. I know that you and David have had some time to talk, but we've got some friends in common that I think it would be great to compare some notes on.
Love to get together. Please call me. And when I come out in the summer in California, I'll visit with you guys.
Perfect.
We would love it. Thank you so much. Take care, my friend.
Take care.
Miss you.
All right. What a great guy, huh?
Oh, I'd love to have a beer with him.
Yeah. Oh, he has stories, as you can tell, and lessons from the greatest minds in the world, like you.
Absolutely.
Anyway, takeaway for the day, real quick. What do you got?
Show up. Show up. I mean, and I'm just, you and I both, I mean, I jumped out of a seminar in order to be here. You're on the car in order to be here. And our guests, they kind of hung out and waited and showed up. And the story of each one of them was about, recognizing an opportunity and showing up and doing something with it, not waiting. Life ebbs away. So, Seneca at one point in time said, everything in this world is dying. So you don't want to be concerned about living. You want to be concerned about, how am I dying? This moment recedes. This moment goes away. And in the moment going away, how have I positioned myself to live the next moment? So showing up, be present. It's now.
Yeah, I think he made that very clear too, right? Everyone has the same 24 hours, and he takes advantage and maximizes each and every activity during the man-made construct of time, which is one of your and my favorite topics. Mine's just straight, this idea of frequency, understanding that each of these have their own frequency, and the spectrum's getting so big that, Omar, who started traditionally as a, fitness guy, is now, the number one bestseller in the Middle East. And Ibotta is $1 billion in cash back, and it's, obviously YellowBird is extremely niche, but yet, they got so many people on. When he told me how many people were on the app, with YellowBird on the marketplace, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I thought there was only like 3 jobs available. It's incredible. So I think finding your frequency, knowing your spectrum, staying consistent and showing up are great takeaways for the day. I appreciate you for showing up. Office hours. It's been incredible. Make sure you check out learn.blainebartlett.com. Incredible mastermind, as you know. Please, Blaine, send my love. Welcome back from the Bahamas. See you next week. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, buddy. You take care. Give your daughter a big hug.
You got it. Thank you for allowing me to be mobile. All right, everyone. The great Blaine Bartlett, the great guest that we had. I see everybody there. Sharon, Amber, Kathleen, Blaine, Aaron, like you, Mikey as well. Remember, tomorrow we start early. We got office hours early at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Clubhouse with the great John Foley, the Blue Angel, joining me on Clubhouse. We're going to have a great and exciting conversation for all. And of course, training how to close a deal tomorrow, 11 a.m. Pacific. If you miss any of it, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. We got all the replays on every platform. The playbook, all you got to do is download it and share it. The playbook has everything that we do on it. Check it out. You'll love it. The playbook. Anyway, most importantly, from the road, this is Office Hours with David Meltzer. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. See you guys early tomorrow morning. Thanks.
Welcome to Office Hours.